All right, let's get cracking. And there's a pretty obvious place to start, Joey, because at the MCG today, it was just carnage.
Yeah, it was. And the Blues are officially in freefall. That's now 5 of their last 6 they've lost. Their only win was against Kangaroos. And as you just touched on, their season, not just talking about top 4 or premiership aspirations, their chances of playing finals are now hanging by a thread. And they're probably going to be dependent on other results because it was a disaster today, and not just because of the injuries, and we'll touch on them, but no doubt the significant injuries to Jack Martin and Fogarty and Sard, Boyd. The big one, of course, is going to be Charlie Curnow's ankle and how long that keeps him out for. But forget about that for a minute. If even you just take the first half, when the injuries weren't really a factor and shouldn't have affected their performance, what they dished up today was terrible. I thought the way that they were sieved team defence-wise, even if they do make finals, that is not going to hold up. I thought they looked like a rabble at times, the way that they were trying to defend Hawks, who we must say were brilliant, and Kingy will touch on them in a minute, and their offence. But I just thought Carlton were all at sea. It looks like to me they've lost confidence in how they want to defend. It's fallen apart for them. They've become really inconsistent. So when you start looking at some of their defensive profile numbers, they're starting to head towards bottom 6 territory, and it's been really inconsistent. And even their turnover game, which had been strong off turnover, they're now getting scored against, and they were sieved. Their pressure was only at 161 for the first half. They conceded over 30 entries and got scored against more than 1 in 2. It looked like a completely different side to what we'd seen through the middle part of the year. So even if they do make it, I don't think the way they are playing now that they're going to be a threat. And that's even more so without Charlie Curnow. So for me, it's looking like being another wasted year for Carlton with this top-end talent they've got, where they're probably still going to have the All-Australian key forward in Charlie Curnow. They're going to probably have the All-Australian key defender, and they might have the Brownlow medalist all in the team this year, similar to 2022, and not play finals. It's going to be another waste, and Michael Voss has got some serious work to do if he can get them both mentally and physically in the right shape to be a contender, because what we saw today, they're just not going to be.
Health's killed them, though.
Yeah,
I mean, we always say health's your best player. You put Cottrell, Chera, Cunningham, whether he's in or out of the team, he's probably better than some they're picking at the moment. De Koning's a massive out. We talk about him a lot. And Fantasia and Martin are probably different because they just don't play regularly enough. And every time you select them, you're almost running the risk of being one short. So I'm not surprised what happens today happens. But even coming into today's round, Joey, their team, I think they've played the most players, with the exception of the Suns, over the last 6 weeks. This is not the time of year where you need this run of outs. So is it circumstance or is it deeper than that?
Well, it's probably deeper than that because no doubt injuries play a factor. But I think even, and we'll hear from Michael Voss in a minute, you can control your effort and the way you want to pressure and defend and work together. There's just been inconsistencies with the way that they defend. That's been a concern for mine that I've seen for a long time, and it was on full display in the first half, particularly this afternoon.
It was. Well, let's hear from the coach. As we said, a mounting injury list, and Charlie Curnow the key to that. And obviously, Sard's done a hamstring as well. Jack Martin is injured. Boyd had to play the whole game with injury problems, and Fogarty. So 15 to 16 on the injury list. He acknowledged, though, that they were well behind, even, as you said, when the fight was on and more even. But he's trying to get a positive angle on it with a chance still into the finals.
Right now, I'm not sitting here saying that there's enormously confident about anything outside of living in the disappointment of where we are right now. I've got a really strong belief about what this team can do. I've got extremely strong belief around the characters that are part of this football club and the ones that are leading it. And so for me, that's where my confidence lies. It lies in the people, but there'll be something in this response. Yeah, there'll be something in this response. There's an opportunity that's sitting right in front of us, and you don't wish those away. We're in a spot where we're going to see it out as strong as we can, and we've got to put some excitement around that, and that's what I'd prefer to be able to go after, and that's probably what we'll start to turn our eyes to in a couple of days' time. But at the moment, for 24 hours at least, we sit in the disappointment.
So there's no obvious big ins to come back at the moment for Carlton. Jackson Binns likely to come into the team, and Fantasia could be fit to return. But it's the right attitude.
It's the right attitude. They just got to get their best footy going again. Find a way.
Do you think they can win those last 2 games?
Nah, injuries, they stop trains. This is just how it is. This is just their lot. You need so much luck to win a premiership. And this guy, I mean, of all the selected players of a weekend, he's probably one of the most critical to their team performing week in, week out. To win a final on the road, he needs to be at his best.
Yeah, he does. And now with no De Koning as well, as you said. So it's going to be Harry Mackay, no Jack Martin, and a whole bunch of smalls.
Yep.
Is that going to be able to get it done the way they play, the way they love to kick it into the contest for the 2 talls, sometimes the 3 talls? It's going to be a massive ask. That's what I'm saying. Right now for Michael Voss, this is probably the toughest period of his coaching journey, and it was their biggest loss today under Michael Voss. He needs to find a way to try and get they're playing their best footy against the West Coast next week.
Yeah, and the clock, I guess, is ticking in some ways, isn't it, with the stars that they have in terms of the bigger picture, which will be a discussion. There'll be changes on the injury management front, as we know. Well, the other end of the scale, a 74-point win was Hawthorn King. Quite a sight.
Yeah, and I'm not worried about the margin because I think that it was junk time there at the end and the margin it clearly blew out because they had an impacted Carlton team. 2 weeks ago, we talked about the Showtime Hawks and how exciting it is to see them celebrate and be together and united as a small forward brigade, really. But right now, I think they're the no-fear Hawks. They fear no one. They fear no style. They feel no system. No midfield's too strong for them. No defensive grid's too good for them. They go at speed. They go at breakneck speed. And it's a speed and a dare that I think is the toughest component to stop in footy because they just don't care. They're prepared to kick torpedoes out from full-back. If they see an option, they'll take it. Their handball game, they were untackleable today. They just stepped through. They went through small gaps, which is a confidence signature for me. If you're prepared to step through, you know, little holes, little openings like this here. Step through. Don't just accept the tackle. Step through. Draw a crowd. Get this overlap going. Take the physical punishment. All of these things have me thinking, wow, this is an offensive power that I haven't seen for a little while. And I love what Sam's done over the last few weeks. And he's been super honest with us. Every time he's spoken, he said, you know what, I probably had an impact in last week's result. I probably set us down a path in Port Adelaide where we end up blowing an opportunity. We should have banked that 4 points. So there's a couple of games where he puts his hand up. I think the players love that. They love the fact that it's not us and the coaching staff. We're all in it together. I think it's a sum of all parts when you look at their clearance game, top 4 over the last 6 weeks. Their turnover game, top 2 over the last 6 weeks. Their offensive power. They're going to have 7 guys kick 20-plus goals for the year.
Yep.
7 guys. I mean, that is unbelievable. So when you look at it, I think even the comments today from Josh Whittle in the post-match about, you know, we just knew we could outrun. You know, I think that's something they say every week.
Yeah.
Power running and we can go. He's got magnets. He can spin everywhere. I think they're very healthy. Mitch Lewis, James Blank maybe, hasn't been there all year. So they're not like their obvious omissions to this current outfit. Health's your best player. They're in full health, full confidence and absolutely charging. I'm wrapped for the Hawks and I do hope now they get a clean run. You would not want to play them first week of the final. If you slip out of the top 4 and you play the Hawks, she might be all over.
Yeah, well, I actually wonder who would you fear the most playing at the MCG at the moment of all the teams?
Well, they're the only team in the top 8 whose home ground is the MCG, and they play the MCG really well. Like, they love the expanses.
Doesn't matter though, does it, where they play?
Probably not. No, they've
travelled everywhere.
Everywhere. Tasmania, Adelaide. You know, they've been to. But what I love about with Kings Point, the balance of their talent is they've all got different assets and they use it. They've got some beautiful kickers. They've got some guys with genuine leg speed. Yep. They've got some guys with power that use their power. They've got then the creative forward type. So they've all got their own different strengths, but when they all bring it together, it works beautifully.
Some of all parts. So you've got to have a checklist to win this thing, right? You've got to have a point of difference. Their small forwards, like it or not, are a point of difference. Tick. Their speed is something that other teams will fear. So make no mistake about that. When they go, you have to be absolutely bulletproof behind the ball to hold this up. Not many can do this. This is why I think every team now in the top 6, 7 teams, we're saying, OK, we're going to put some time into the Hawks. Because if we play them, we've got to be ready for what's coming at us.